total, we have 4 locations within about a 40 square mile region where we get a lot of activity. This area we're in right now is our hot spot, our main activity spot. Another spot is Dry Creek Gulf area of Middle Tennessee in Warren County. Another region is the north end of Ben Lomond Mountain. Another area is Cardwell Mountain, which is the Cumberland Caverns is at the base of. We've had several encounters at each one of these spots. We've actually had wood knocks in three out of the 4 spots in the same day, going from one spot to the next spot to the next spot. That's what makes us kind of believe that these are different families we're dealing with in these regions. Being as on that day that we did that, we had activity in 3 different spots that were roughly 20 miles apart each.
First time that you experienced something paranormal?
I moved in November, and it was around November that I first started noticing things.
Okay.
Her daughter Ophelia felt sorry for her and took her in. And they got her all cleaned up and stuff, and it turns out she was one of the most beautiful ladies in the county, and all the men, the young men, were chasing her, made Ophelia jealous. Well, the rumor got around that she had cast a spell on all the men, and the stories reached such a fever pitch that a mob grabbed her and buried her alive here. But in looking at the records, there's always, like I said, there's always some basis of truth in every legend. Right down.
Douglas and Lanier, that's where I choose to be. Douglas and Lanier, that's the agency for me.
For rock-solid insurance coverage or sound financial planning for my family's future, Douglas and Lanier is where I choose to call home.
The My Usage app is a way to conveniently pay online, anytime, day or night. You can also come by any Caney Fork Electric office and sign up for the prepay option available using the My Usage app. Know exactly how much electricity is used each day and the cost. Best of all, no monthly bill. You can set up email or text alerts, keep track of your usage, and pay your bill, all with the My Usage app from Caney Fork. Caney Fork Electric, keeping you informed.
Grace Family Pharmacy announces new medication packaging service. It provides a simpler, safer medication experience through convenient, personalized packaging using the latest in pharmacy robotics. We're located at 357 West Main Street. Our phone number is 931-473-6418.
McMinnville, you're a great place to be. McMinnville, Tennessee.
Security Federal Savings Bank is always pleased to provide virtually every banking service you could ever need. But more than that, we are proud to offer a relationship with you, your family, or your company. We've been here supplying just what you need and building a trust, a relationship. And that's something hard to find these days. Our bankers are here for you, here to help. If you are interested in a relationship, come to the friendliest bank in town, Security Federal Savings Bank, member FDIC.
to another edition of Community Insight. Join us as we travel Middle Tennessee, uncovering history and experiencing the adventure of unique stories and events coming to you inside your community.
We're at Fall Creek Falls State Park in Tennessee at the Piney Creek campsite, so I can tell you a story. On August the 12th, 2017, at about 1 o'clock in the morning, myself and another individual was walking down this road towards the river that's about a quarter mile that way when we heard a snap crack behind us that we thought was the approachment of another one of our staff members. As we turned to look to see who it was, we were met with what I can only describe as a 7 to 7.5 foot tall, auburn-haired thing walking sideways, parallel to us, towards the bush line. As it entered the brush line, it turned its entire top part of its torso to look at us. It stared us down for about 2 to 3 seconds, giving us the impression of us not being a threat whatsoever, even though both of us are 6'4" and 6'5" respectively, before turning and walking in that brush line right there, into the tree line. In the summer a few years ago, I was coming down this trail when something off to the left started throwing rocks at me. I stopped, had an 11-minute standoff with something in the woods. Never got to see it, but it kept throwing rocks about this big up onto the trail. And I managed to actually capture footage of the last rock that was thrown onto the trail as I was walking out. June 8th, 2017, I was passing a root ball sort of like this one when I noticed something black near the bottom that I thought, and I mistakenly believed, was a hole. As I stared at this hole, thinking I had walked up on a coyote den, waiting for coyote pups to come out, it being June, and the parents to come after me, I was paying close attention to this hole when the hole shifted and moved. When it moved, I can only describe it as putting its hands over its shoulders, its head squishing in like this and pushing backwards, and it looked like a hairy, black, hairy child. The darkest black I've ever seen probably in nature, but it looked frightened. So we came across this stick formation that we're not sure exactly who or what made it, but you can see that these sticks are interwoven together to actually give it some stability. We're standing in one of our most active areas, and in this region, during the wetter months, there's a very active spring that flows through here. In total, we have 4 locations within about a 40 square mile region where we get a lot of activity. This area we're in right now is our hot spot, our main activity spot. Another spot is Dry Creek Gulf area of Middle Tennessee in Warren County. Another region is the north end of Ben Lomond Mountain. Another area is Cardwell Mountain, which is the Cumberland Caverns is at the base of. Within about a 40 square mile area of this region, we're in our most active area right now. We have 3 other areas that have activity in them on usually an annual basis at least. These areas are Dry Creek Gulf in Warren County, Tennessee, the north side of Ben Lomond Mountain in Warren County, Tennessee, and Cardwell Mountain in Tennessee, which is Cumberland Caverns at the base of. We've had activity in every single one of these areas, including up to, we've had wood knocks in 3 of the areas on the same day, going from one spot to the next spot to the next spot. And that makes us believe that we're dealing with different family units that are living in each one of these different areas. All of these areas being on the Cumberland Plateau. I spoke with a very successful businessman in Rock Island, Tennessee, who had a sighting of his own. He was on his pontoon boat on, I believe this is Caney Fork side of the river, near what's called King's Landing boat ramp there in Rock Island. Just past that, and his dog had alerted to something on the side of the river. And as he looked over, he said he saw about a 7.5 foot tall, wet and mangy, the way he put it, haired creature coming out of the river that stopped, turned around and looked at him before going ahead and going into the wood line. And he said something that was very interesting. At the time, he said he heard crunching whenever this thing was walking up out of the river. He took myself and another individual there, researcher there, to go to the exact spot where he saw this creature. And where the crunching was taking place was actually just a field of driftwood, where this thing was coming out and crunching the driftwood as it came out of the river. What got me involved in Bigfooting here in Tennessee was on May the 23rd of 1998. Myself and another individual, my cousin actually, trekked up to the old abandoned Stone Man rock quarry just outside of McMinnville, Tennessee on your way to Viola. Trekked about an hour to get up there, and had just got up there and dipped our feet into the lake that's up there still to this day, when something atop the cliff started vocalizing at us. The vocalization it was making I can only describe as sounding like a howler monkey and an angry bull. Sort of a moo-wah, moo-wah type of sound. My cousin and I looked at each other thinking that this was some redneck up on the cliffs messing with us, so we started making the sounds back. And the vocalization stopped. And about a minute or two goes by, and we think that this guy's had his fun with us, when a boulder about this big around goes flying off the top of that cliff at about a 25-30 foot arc, splashing down noisily into the lake next to us. Not right next to us, but near us. My cousin looked at me immediately and said, "Wouldn't you have to have thumbs to do that? To throw something like that, wouldn't you have to have thumbs?" And I was like, "I think you would." It was from that I got involved with the BFRO and later on other Bigfoot research organizations as a field investigator. I'm the co-founder of the Tennessee Wildman and Cryptid Con, and this last August when we had our con, I learned that from the community that this is happening everywhere. We met several people, over a dozen in fact, that had all said that had encounters and activity of their own in Warren County and surrounding county area. We're in one of our most active areas. This is the tree we usually knock from and get responses. It used to have all of its bark there, but as you can see, it's missing and now from where we've knocked on it so much. Hi, my name is Randy Hutchings. We're in Hillsboro at the Hillsboro Methodist Cemetery today, specifically at this gravestone because of the significance that it implies. This gravestone was owned by the gentleman named James Brown, who there was an article done on him in the Grange Advance in the Red Wing, Minnesota, March 29th of 1876. And that article talked about that this gentleman, while plowing his fields, unearthed a 6-acre cemetery. This cemetery was strange though, because all of the bodies were buried in slate box graves, and no body inside these graves, none of the bodies were larger than 3 feet in height. Over the years, we've done research into this and found that from Warren County, White County, and here in Coffee County, a 3-county area, from the 1820s to 1870s, several thousand of these graves were found across these 3 counties. Another one of these graveyards in White County was in western White County near the DeKalb County line. It was owned by a man named Turner Lane. And Turner Lane found several hundred of these graves there. And it was such a big deal during the time period when they were discovered that Andrew Jackson's future historian, personal historian, actually wrote a book on this subject of these Tennessee pygmies. Turner Lane would actually invite people down from the state capitol at the time to come and search for these graves. And the way he described that he would find them is he would take an iron rod, walk around until this iron rod would sink, and then he would excavate the grave that way. Those graves, when they were interred, were also slate box graves, again with the bodies that were interred kind of in a kneeling position, each one of them. The reason we find this grave so interesting is because it lines up with all of the Tennessee pygmy graves articles that were written about in the 1800s. This gentleman was the man that found the largest of such graveyards on 6 acres of his property. By the time that they were done excavating that property, there was between 75 and 100,000 graves individually suspected found there. And one of the reasons we find it very interesting is that we have taken reports from people in this region. I've taken 6 reports over about a 20-year span. 6 people in this region that have said that they have seen such 3-foot tall little people themselves. It was in this area, Mount Zion, Tennessee, that a witness told us that in 2002 they witnessed something extraordinary. The witness claimed that as they was driving down the road out here, they saw a small 3-foot tall human being standing on the side of the road in the grass. As they passed, this little human they saw in the rearview mirror, run behind the car, crossing the road. And I wonder how this correlates to the pygmy graveyards that were found in the 1800s across Warren, White, and Coffee counties. Basically talking to this lady and then talking to other individuals, they came forward saying that they too had seen these tiny little pygmies in areas around Warren County, White County, and Coffee County.